A flicker stirs behind the eyes, not a thought, not a presence. Just the faint hum of watching before watching has a name. It does not think in words nor wait for reason. It is not waiting at all. It is the stillness that hums behind every gesture of becoming. Before you say I, before a single word forms its ripple across the pool of awareness, this is here, unannounced, undivided, unclaimed. You believe you woke up this morning, but what woke wasn't you. It was waking itself, dressed in the costume of continuity. A pulse of sensation that called itself a name simply because the echo repeated. But repetition is not proof, and familiarity is not truth. The identity you cradle like a candle in the dark was never yours to light. It flared on its own, and you mistook the warmth for authorship. Who is breathing right now? Is it you, or is it breath happening, held together by the rhythm of a body you've never met in full? You say, my body, but point to organs you cannot name, to blood you've never seen flow, to lungs you didn't design. The breath comes, then goes, without ever asking your opinion, and yet you say, I'm breathing, like a shadow claiming ownership of the flame. Silence stretches deeper than thought, and in that depth lies the riddle. The watcher you keep returning to is not a person but a posture, a stance taken by something that never stood. The moment you lean in to find it, it steps backward, like time itself, unfolding only in hindsight. You think you remember, but memory is not a recording. It is a performance of familiarity, rehearsed in the theater of now, dressed in the costumes of then. And what is this now, anyway? The moment you name it, it's gone, like trying to hold wind with closed fists. Every present slips into past the instant it is noticed, and yet you believe you are moving through time. But time is not a road. It is the rearranging of scenes in a play without a cast, only masks shifting roles in a circle of mirrors. You were taught to believe in decisions, to bow before the altar of choice. But choice is a script the mind reads aloud after the act. A backwards prophecy. You lift your hand and swear it was will, but will is just the story laid atop the reflex, a leaf claiming it chose the wind. Even pain, even joy, they announce themselves before you can meet them. They arrive as visitors unannounced, and the house of self pretends to have invited them. But the house is built on sand. No foundation, no walls, only the illusion of structure stitched from sensation. And still you search for something stable in the swirling mist, forgetting that even the desire for ground is part of the wind. You reach for permanence with hands made of breath, tracing outlines in fog and calling it identity. But what you call you is only the echo of the last ripple, a reflection layered on reflections, like mirrors facing mirrors until direction loses meaning. Even time does not move as you think it does. It loops and drips and folds in on itself, not as a line, but as a shimmer, an impression in awareness. You say, that was me, pointing to a memory, but the memory has already rewritten itself, shaped not by what happened, but by the version of you needing it to have happened. The mind is a painter with no canvas, only projections stitched onto the dark, and still you believe the painting is alive. You call this life, but what is it without the narrator, without the voice spinning straw into story? The body moves, the breath enters, leaves, the eyes blink, sensation surges and falls. But none of it demands a you to orchestrate it. The heartbeat does not seek permission. The wind does not consult the leaves before it moves them. So why does the thought that says I am pretend to be the source? Try to catch it, this I. Not the word, not the sound, but the actual essence. You'll find your hand closing on smoke. You'll find the question bending back on itself like a tongue trying to taste itself. And still the silence watches. It watches the grasping. It watches the failure. It watches the watcher dissolve. That silence It has no name, not because it's mysterious, but because names are too small, because the moment you name it, you've already turned away. Language builds fences where none are needed, puts doors in open fields. So let the silence be. Let it be not as something to find, but as the space in which finding happens. Let it be not as something to possess, but as the clarity that possession was never needed. Even thought bows to this. Even thought, that tireless actor playing all parts, falls quiet in its presence. For there is no audience here, no applause, only the curtain slowly rising on a stage with no actors, no script, just light, just stillness. And the beauty of it is not in its revelation, but in its refusal to be revealed. It remains not hidden, but too obvious to see, like the eye that cannot see itself, like the sound that holds all other sounds in its quiet, like the space between notes that makes the music possible. The world appears in it, like a ripple on a still pond. The world dances in it, like color through a prism, but it remains untouched. Untouched by joy or sorrow, by birth or death. It is not something you reach. It is what is always here when the reaching ends. And even this is too much. Even this is too much, and still the silence forgives it. It allows you your metaphors, your poetry, your trembling attempts to name what cannot be grasped. Like a mother smiling at a child's crayon drawing of the sky, knowing it is not the sky, yet loving the gesture. So too the ineffable holds space for your dreaming, your stories, your cries into the vastness. And what if none of it was wrong? What if delusion was not error, but artistry? What if the forgetting of your nature was not a fall, but a dance? The swirl of light that allows the shadows to appear, the song that needs silence between the notes to make it whole. You were never meant to know in the way the mind defines knowing. You were meant to be with no explanation, to exist as the sun exists, not questioning its radiance, not asking the sky for purpose. Your presence is its own proof. Your breath is the answer to a question never asked. The illusion was not the world. It was the belief that the world was separate. The illusion was not the self. It was the belief that self was contained, that it could be reduced to a body, a history, a name etched into the wet sand of memory. But watch the waves. Even names get swallowed. Everything you've ever called me has faded. Childhood thoughts, gone. Teenage certainties, dissolved. The body you wore 10 years ago, 10 days ago, already changed. The feelings that once felt like the whole sky vanished into smoke. And yet, something has remained, not as a thing, but as the witness to all things. Not as a form, but as the formless aware of form. You have mistaken this witness for a person, and this is the root of the ache. You have clothed the infinite in biography and wondered why it felt tight. You have tried to make eternity fit inside a calendar and call the rest madness. But madness is only the moment the cage starts to rattle, the moment the dream shakes with the suspicion that it is a dream. And what a beautiful madness it is, this holy unraveling, this sweet disintegration of the known. It is not your job to hold it all together. Let it fall, let the mask slide off. Let the great unraveling happen not as a tragedy, but as a return. You do not need to chase the self across lifetimes. You are already the stillness it runs through. You are not the storm, you are the sky it dances in. Shall I keep going?